So hi everyone, welcome to another edition of the Ozone Layer. I'm Huw, I'm one of the co-founders at Ozone, and this is a short slot where we try and talk about all of the things that are happening in the world of open banking and open finance. Quite often the conversations are really dominated by what the big tier one banks are doing or what's happening with the major TPPs and aggregators. But today we wanted to focus a little more on the world of the challenger bank, some of the smaller financial institutions, the e-money institutions. And I'm delighted to be joined by Diane Brocklebank, who is Executive Director at Prepaid International Forum. So Diane, welcome.
Thank you, Huw. It's great to be here.
So Dan, you guys have a really broad member base, all sorts of different types of financial institutions. What are your members saying about open banking? Do they see it as an opportunity? Do they see it as a big regulatory compliance headache, or a bit of both? What are you hearing?
I think generally it tends to be a bit of both, but I think overall the opportunity is viewed as significant, and for many of our members the opportunity is huge. Sure, there have been some challenges, as with any piece of regulation, it's never straightforward. So we've been doing a lot of work helping our members, navigate the broader rules of PSD2, of which obviously open banking is a core part of that. So yes, some real pockets of opportunity, and for sure, some of our members have struggled to see the value of open banking, particularly for firms for whom there would potentially be one or even no requests. So they've had to weigh up the cost of building that interface against particularly it being used for the reasons it should be.
Yeah, we've certainly been out there talking to a lot of the smaller banks and financial institutions, and there's we see many talk about the opportunity and potentially longer term opportunity, but sometimes that immediate demand is less apparent. So that question around, do they try and build this themselves? Do they partner with a specialist to help them make it easier and lower cost? We've seen a lot of them thinking through all of those questions and challenges. When you talk about the opportunity, and we did a survey earlier in the year, you'll recall, and almost every respondent talked about this as a big opportunity. What are some of the interesting use cases that you're seeing from your member base? Are there any that jump out and spring to mind?
Absolutely. So we have a growing number of members who provide accounts and other services to SMEs. And this is where we're really seeing a lot of movement, a lot of progress. And a lot of it is being driven by the pandemic. Obviously, there were firms who were doing this before 2020, but I was just looking at some figures earlier today. The Competition and Markets Authority published some findings, I think it was on Monday or Tuesday, that showed a huge uplift in small businesses using and benefiting from open banking, with 90%, I think it is, looking at these numbers, saying it was a direct result of COVID-19. And I think what we're seeing is that we're seeing a lot of fintechs now who are tapping into open banking to help these businesses. And we're talking about the self-employed, we're talking about sole traders, better manage their finances and better understand their business. So for example, with cloud accounting, with cash flow forecasting and so on. And so if we think about, the many thousands of, small businesses that have been impacted by COVID-19, there's a huge opportunity for fintechs to help them recover and grow.
There have been some really interesting use cases out there, and there was a huge amount of activities following the pandemic really starting to take bite. Actually, a couple of our customers, we see doing really interesting things. So Tide, one of the well-known sort of challenger banks that help SME customers, their open banking APIs are so incredibly well used because,
yep.
again, most of their customers are using cloud accounting platforms to help run their business day in, day out.
Yep.
We're working with Monese, and again, they've built a really good reputation helping a lot of those customers that may traditionally be on the margins of the focuses of the big banks. And again, this is where a lot of the really interesting use cases and opportunities are starting to come to the fore.
Absolutely. You know, one of our roles as an industry body is to make sure that the industry grows in the best interests of the consumers. So anything that encourages digital innovation and choice can only be a good thing, right? So
yeah, absolutely. And I guess this is all happening at a point where many of your members are getting hit from all sides with different business pressures, different regulatory pressures. I mean, what's the wider context?
Brexit. You know, right now, obviously, you know, PSD2 is a huge piece of regulation, but right now there is still so much uncertainty around Brexit. So people are, or businesses, a lot of our members, a lot of them already have Brexit solutions, but I think for some, they are really feeling the pressure of that. And of course, you know, there are other issues that may arise next year from the divergence of regulations. So there's a lot of uncertainty for firms who have already had to adapt really quickly throughout 2020, whilst juggling Brexit, whilst juggling open banking, and obviously the fifth anti-money laundering directive. Other areas, cross-border payments regulation is another key part for us.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, and I guess this week in particular, the Brexit situation seems as up in the air as it ever has. So
yeah.
I imagine that's causing quite a lot of angst. So I guess looking forward to 2021, then, I mean, what would be your message? I guess the PIF message around the opportunity here. I mean, there's a lot of change, a lot of challenge, a lot of opportunity. What's your sort of outlook looking to 2021 and the messages to the market?
Yeah, I think if we think about 2020, and if we think about how the pandemic has accelerated that shift to digital, you know, I think open banking provides a huge opportunity for firms to evolve their business models, to improve, enhance the functionality, because consumers are becoming more demanding, they're becoming ever more discerning, sophisticated. So, you know, this is what open banking was designed for. So, you know, we're looking forward to seeing, you know, how businesses leverage that to grow their business and, you know, withstand the pressures of everything that's being thrown at us right now, whether it's economic pressures, whether it's Brexit pressures. Yeah, we hope that, you know, that opportunity will continue to grow, particularly for certainly the SME sector, gig economy, sole traders who really need fintech help right now.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Actually, I mean, I think as difficult as this year has been, it's creating a opportunity to do things in a new and different way, and I'm sure we'll hopefully see some semblance of normality, but with a whole load of improvements that have come from some of the changes we've been forced to live with. So, Diane, thank you. Really good to chat to you. And yeah, if we do not speak before, I wish you all the best for the holidays. And thank you.
Thank you, Huw. You too.